Trent. But we're not allowed, right? We're not allowed to criticise Trent. We're not allowed to suggest Trent be sold because that would just get a big backlash. I'm going to say it. I think Trent should be sold. I do. Trent's brilliant when we're attacking. Trent's brilliant when we're penning teams in. Trent's brilliant when we're on the right foot. But do you know what he isn't brilliant at? Defending. And that's what we need right now. And his body language has been fucking horrific. And we can't just ignore that. You can't just ignore the fact that he's jogging back. You can't ignore the fact that he's not showing emotion. You can't ignore the fact that it doesn't look like he's breaking a sweat. I'm sorry. I can't stand by and look. I wouldn't accept it from any other player. I wouldn't accept it from Diaz. I wouldn't accept it from Van Dijk. And by the way, I have a bit to say on Van Dijk as well. But I'm sorry, like what? How are we going to resolve the right back situation if we continue to go with Trent? Vinicius Jr. literally knocks one out every time he knows he's playing Liverpool because he knows he's up against Trent. Modric was turning him inside out. So where's the benefit? Do you see him going into midfield? Okay, if he goes into midfield, we still have the same issues. We still have the same lack of tracking back. We still have the same lack of getting stuck in. We still have the same body language. Honestly, trust me, I don't say that lightly. I don't say Liverpool should sell Trent lightly at all. Because I want Trent to succeed. Why wouldn't I want a Scouse heartbeat in the Liverpool team? But if anything, the fact that his body language is so poor is even more infuriating because he is Scouse. He is homegrown. That is his club. And if he's not putting in the graft for us, for his hometown club, then what's the point? Like, you can tell me I'm wrong, and I appreciate that fact, and you can tell me that you disagree, and I'm fine with that. But tell me why. If you disagree with me, counteract my points. What does Trent give to us? Now, you're saying this is reactionary. No, it isn't. Look at his stats. Robbo's had, I think, nearly 4 times the assists over the past year or so than Trent. So, if we're not getting the assists that he's famed for, we're not getting the goals, what are we getting? Genuinely, what are we getting? Because we're not getting the defensive work. We're not even getting the effort now. We're not getting the assists. He's not scoring free kicks. So what do you do? Just carry on forever? You say he's having an off-season. Remember the off-season he had before where he was dropped out of the England squad because he wasn't playing well? Remember that? And we all defended him? Myself included. We all defended him, right? But when does it stop being an off-season and now become a fact? Because it's not just one season. Or it's not just one part of one season. It's more than that. And I would suggest that if this was any other player other than a homegrown Scouser, we'd be having a very different conversation. And I think that's my point. I think we're living off goodwill with regards to Trent rather than factual information. I personally wouldn't sell him because I think he's too good to let go. So, right, for those who aren't willing to sell him, right, which again, I understand your stance. I'm not saying I'm right, you're wrong. This is me debating back against you. What happens if we go into next season and we're still getting found out at right back? Are you willing to write off another year without Champions League football if we don't get it this year? How long is enough? And as Don has pointed out there, how can a local lad seem that disinterested? Because I'm telling you now, I wouldn't accept it from anybody as a manager. The jogging back, the casual nature of his defending, it's bullshit. You can hate on me all you want for it, but I'm not just pulling this out my arse. I'm not just randomly inventing scenarios where Trent has been alright but actually hasn't. I'm telling you how I genuinely feel. He needs to have competition in that position. Yes, that's a fair point, Ben. I give you that. And the club tried to bring in competition in Calvin Ramsey, but ultimately, I'm going to bit Antonio Conte here. I'm going to bit like, when does it stop being everybody else's fault? Like, when is it like, so it's the manager's fault for not bringing in backup for Trent that can push him. Okay, that's a fair point, and we should be doing that. But also, how about the player taking some fucking responsibility? How about the player actually looking like he cares? Would look at Frimpong and try Trent somewhere else, but if he still shit, sell him. So the Trent in midfield argument. What's the one thing? So okay, so if you want to play Trent in midfield, talk through the characteristics that Jurgen Klopp requires from a midfield player at Liverpool Football Club or in any Jurgen Klopp team: athleticism, an engine, a willingness to break your arse and run front and back, left and right, every single where on the pitch, to read the game well, to challenge well, to have good duels, to have aerial ability. Any of this sounding like Trent? Because it doesn't to me. So I don't see where moving Trent into midfield does anything other than move the problem 15 yards up the pitch. I mean, again, you don't have to be sorry to me. You say, I'm sorry, I can't see on a right back who'd be available who's better than Trent. At defending, there's probably 30 right backs who can defend better than Trent. So the question is, what do we want from a right back? So again, if Klopp went to three at the back, maybe you could push Trent to a wing back and have less defensive responsibility on him. But have we seen any indication that Klopp's willing to change the system to go to three at the back? So I love that people want to try and defend players, but sometimes I feel people try to defend the indefensible. And this season, there have been a lot of people for me that have just shit the bed and just not shown fight or heart. Imagine Trent at City, the way they play. Well, I don't think he'd get a game, to be honest with you, because I don't think he'd do the work that Guardiola would require from him. Not even sure Trent would be a great wing back. Wing back requires an incredible athlete and engine, which I don't think Trent has. So it feels like a lot. I mean, it's an interesting debate, and I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. Everybody has their own viewpoints on this, and that's the beauty of football: is we see things differently, but we can be respectful to each other, right? So can we try and find some common ground? Do we agree that we're targeted down our right hand side by opposition teams? Can we start with that fact and then we'll try and work forward? So we agree we're targeted. We agree that any team that comes up against us, if they're looking to even play counter attack in football, the ball's usually going diagonally into Trent's side to drop in behind Trent into that space, right? So that's there. We agree on that by the looks of it. So then we need to ask the next question: how do we stop that? Well, we have stopped it in the past by being better in possession, by not giving the ball away as much as we have done in transition, by playing fairly high up the pitch and condensing the pitch into one third and then forcing turnovers and mistakes with a high press. We're not getting that at the minute. So I've no doubt that bringing in better midfielders will help out Trent. Absolutely, you're not going to have an argument for me on that fact whatsoever. If we have midfielders with more energy, that do a better job, yes, that will help out Trent. No questions there. So then we come on to his defending. Do I think Trent can defend? Yeah, to an extent, yes. I think he can. But I just don't see the willingness to. It doesn't excite. It doesn't look like it excites him. It doesn't look like he wants to play it right back. So it comes down to, do you keep him at right back or do you move him into midfield? And I've already given you my argument as to why I think he wouldn't work in midfield. Because I don't think he'll work hard enough to be a Klopp midfielder. And remember, we don't really play with a 10, so we don't really play with a creative midfielder. And you couldn't play him in a 6, even as a regista style 6, because he doesn't read the game defensively well enough. He doesn't have that Fabinho trait. He doesn't have that ability to just mop up in front of the back four. So what type of midfielder is he going to be in a Liverpool midfield? Honestly, I don't know. Why? Just because Vinny went past him, he's shit and can't defend. No. Did anyone say that? See, LFC fan, I feel like you're trying to put words in my mouth that I haven't said. Did I say that just because Vinny went past him, he can't defend? No. But do you think every fucking manager that plays against us that targets that side does it by accident? Do you think that the fact that Manchester United were stupid enough to play Marcus Rashford through the middle and not out on the left where he should have been played and we managed that game a lot easier is an accident? No. Look at any Manchester United fan board. Look at the statistical analysis of the game. One of the biggest mistakes Eric Ten Hag made was playing Rashford through the centre and not out in wide position.